Are you someone in your 40s who missed out on financial planning during the early phase of your life? While it is always recommended to start the investment journey as early as possible, it's never too late to rectify the mistake. Whether you are in your early 20s or in your 40s, you can always plan your investments. Of course, the risk profile and the investment options would differ depending on how much time you require to achieve your financial goals and how much money you can save and invest. Hello everyone, I'm Sahil Badwiya and welcome to another video of this educational series. In today's video, we will discuss how someone in their early 40s who might have missed out on the investing train can begin planning their investments. So the first step before investing your money in the 40s is to assess your risk appetite. Generally, the risk appetite is much higher in early 20s where the liability is minimum. You don't have much responsibilities, focus is more on career growth, and you can switch jobs for better opportunities. As you grow old, in your 30s, you get married, have kids, you make good progress in your career, and have a settled life where you don't want to switch your jobs frequently. And that changes the risk appetite. You still have enough time for your retirement planning. However, when you reach your 40s, you reach the peak of productivity in your career, drawing a decent salary in your job, your kids would have grown up, and there's a high probability that you would have already purchased your home and car and would be paying an EMI for it. So in your 40s, one of the biggest goals is retirement planning. Typically, the retirement age is 60 years. So if you are in your early 40s, you still have a decent 15 to 20 years of time period to plan for your retirement. However, some of you might not want to work till 60 years of age. Hence, once you figure out your risk appetite, you need to figure out at what age you want to retire. Do you want to work till 60-65 years or retire in your 50s? If you want early retirement in your 50s, you would need to invest a higher amount as compared to retirement at the age of 60. Next step is to assess your current financial situation. You need to calculate your assets like savings, investments, properties, and liabilities that include your loans, mortgages to determine your net worth. Next, you need to track your income and expenses to identify how much money you can save and invest for your retirement goal. Once you know your current net worth, at what age you want to retire, your monthly expenses, and how much money you can save and invest, next step is to identify the retirement corpus. Here you need to consider the inflation rate. It considers the rising cost of living. Inflation plays a very important role in determining your future expenses. For example, India has a historical inflation rate of 5 to 6%. It means if your annual expenses are rupees 10 lakh this year, next year you would end up with rupees 10.5 to 10.6 lakh of expenses. And likewise, your expenses would increase every year with inflation. Another important factor is the return expectation on your investment journey during your working years and return expectation during your retired life. During your working years, your risk appetite is higher due to fixed monthly salary from job and long-term horizon of your retirement goal. However, post-retirement, your risk appetite would reduce because you won't get a monthly salary. So post-retirement, you have to invest your money in lower-risk investment options. Generally speaking, you can expect 13 to 15% CAGR return from your investment in the equity market during your working years. And post-retirement, you can expect around 8 to 10% return as a good percentage of allocation would go into fixed income or lower risk categories like FD, bonds, debt mutual funds. Now let us look at the retirement calculator to figure out how much money you would need for retirement. Here we have assumed the present age as 42 years, retirement age is 60 years, life expectancy is expected at 90 years, long-term inflation is assumed 6%. Present living expenses are rupees 75,000 a month. Reduction in expenses after retirement is assumed at 25%. Next, return on investment during working years is assumed 14% and during retired life is assumed at 8%. In this case, the amount required post-retirement is rupees 1.6 lakh. Corpus required at retirement day to maintain present standard of living during retired life is rupees 4.41 crore. And you would need to do an SIP of rupees $45,750 a month to achieve your retirement corpus. So in this video, we discuss the investment strategy for a person in his or her 40s. While it is always advisable to invest as early as possible in the 20s, it's never too late to invest even in your 40s. At this stage, one of the biggest financial goals is to build a retirement corpus, and for that you need to plan your finances accordingly. The steps involved in building a retirement corpus in your 40s include: identify your risk appetite, know your current net worth, figure out what age you want to retire, what are your monthly expenses, and how much money you can save and invest. Finally, you need to consider inflation, expected return during working years, and expected return after retirement. Based on all these parameters, you can calculate your retirement corpus. As far as investment is concerned, since retirement is a long-term goal, majority of your investment should be in equity market. It could be mutual funds, individual stocks, or a mix of both. For the long term, you can expect 13 to 15% CAGR returns. However, post-retirement, you must reduce your exposure in equity and increase allocation in fixed income instruments like FD or low-risk instruments like bond or debt mutual funds. Post-retirement, you can even consider a hybrid mutual fund where the fund manager would keep a fine balance between equity and debt. So that's all for today's video. I'll see you in another video.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.